Death was no longer an option, only dance and madness. Night hung over us like a leaden shroud, and the air was thick with the pungent scent of sweat and sin. I stood amidst a throng where people danced as if every movement were a desperate grasp for life. And I, a doctor in an age of plague, held the head of a staggering patient in my hands, his pale eyes already fogged with delirium. Why couldn't we stop? I felt a shiver in my knees and dread in my heart, and this feverish dance consumed the entire town. What had turned us into frenzied beings? As the first haunting notes filled the air, I felt the drumbeat echo within my chest. The village, once filled with joy and laughter, now resembled a living dead. Shadows danced on the walls, each flicker intertwined with an ominous whisper. What type of plague could cause such madness? The thought slithered through my mind, a deceitful specter whispering uncertainties. Their hands brushed against my face, leaving behind trails of despair. I had become witness to something far beyond myself. The sight was insatiable. "Can you banish this terror?" I imagined asking an elder, seated in the darkness, draped in shadows, but she merely broke out in wild laughter. "Evil demands a dance," she rasped, her two crooked teeth glimmering in the flickering candlelight. I didn't respond. It struck me then how the sick and the festivity shared a thin line between horror and delight. But nothing could prepare me for the chaos that followed. The rhythm twisted, and as the villagers buckled under invisible chains, I felt my heart race with their madness. My body moved instinctively. I was not an observer anymore. I had become one of them. Each exhilarated gasp, each exulted scream mingled with the shrieks of anguish. It was as if a moment's passion was ripping through time itself, and not a soul could evade the all-consuming allure of this fever. What was the magic that set them free? Breath became unsteady. They spun and twirled, wrapped in the spell of frenzy, blind to the destruction of their bodies. I could sense the sharp bite of desperation in the air, but what could be done? Should I join, or do I remain a detached observer? I battled within myself as each twirl sent a wave of agony through my veins. It was a moment of choice. Heed the call of their euphoric chaos, or risk sinking in their doom. Tension spiked as I took a hesitant step forward, but damned if I could turn away. The pounding in my chest was a reflection of them all, a rhythm synchronizing across the brokenness of our plight. It was clear this wasn't merely a dance, but an escape from the dread of existence. "What would you do if it were your child?" I muttered to myself, the chilling prospect gnawing at my core. I watched as mothers clutched little ones, consumed by the urge to save them from both madness and their own cravings. Yet even in the heart of chaos, glimpses of horror seeped through, their bodies contorted in ecstasy, flowing like river water turning around jagged edges. We were dashed against the rocks of despair, and in that whirlpool, I realized I was no longer just a healer, but also a participant in this consuming vortex. The air was electric. The pungent smell of sweat, mingled with earth and fear, filled my lungs. And all at once, I understood. In each pirouette lay our denouement. These whirlwinds threatened to end our lives. In the midst of this fray, the foundation trembled beneath our feet. The elderly fell first. Is it a heart attack? Or perhaps despair? I struggled to catch a glimpse of sanity. Surrounding me, The dance grew more frenzied as the numbers dwindled. The smiles warped into grimaces, and the laughter transitioned into wails. "We are losing them!" I screamed against the cacophony, engaging in futile attempts to comprehend the madness. Nothing felt more futile than fighting against this primal urge to unleash our anguish. Darkness enveloped us, thick and suffocating. We were swept into a maelstrom as limbs tangled together, collapsing upon one another. Each body on the floor told a story, a testament to a lethal dance with despair. Would my skills mean anything against this frantic wall of flesh and agony? "Everything is a dance," I whispered. "Yet whom do we dance for?" I felt a chill crawl down my spine as I pondered our morality in the face of death, crumbling under the weight of insatiable questions. The frailty of humanity was exposed, the facade stripped bare. Around me, beloved companions battered and fell like leaves in autumn, their faces distorting into reflections of sorrow. In the inconsistency of our fates, something primal churned within. And yet, I found a sliver of life amidst the despair, something worth salvaging. What if I learned to dance for them? That thought ignited a flicker of defiance against impending doom. I took a breath. My body, inspired by glimmers of hope, surged forth to lead. The heartbeat of the village echoed with my resolve. Even as I saw them collapse, I understood to dance was to claim existence even in our suffering. Though shadows threatened to engulf us, I approached the writhing forms with steady determination, urging them to rise. "Together, we can conquer this dance," I shouted. My words floated above the painful noise. It became a rallying cry, thread by thread, binding us in our shared defiance against despair. Could we resurrect ourselves through cadence? Emerging from the depths of darkness brought an unexpected revelation. I glanced around and saw broken figures slowly finding their feet, remnants of courage igniting once more. It was there, in that moment of collective struggle, I recognized that while the plague could dance, we embodied resilience and power through moving as one. Sustaining hope felt like a promise beneath the weight of chaos. I felt the defiance echoing through the ages, a glimpse of something magnificent amidst the rubble. Our bodies might flail and falter, but perhaps our spirit would thrive through the sweetest strains of rebellion. Perhaps love was born amid this madness, a symphony played only by the brave. I believed we could transform our mourning into strength. As the fire of our defiance blazed with determination, I took a vital breath. The dance no longer felt like a curse, but a journey towards unity, healing, and life itself. We took on the role of warriors in an endless rhythm, striking against heartbreak, healing wounds, and reclaiming our existence. It was then that true magic unraveled. We danced not for death, but for life. We became one under the midnight sky, a chorus of resilience spinning through despair. Each movement told a story waiting to be heard, rooted under the skin, pulsing with humanity. We found the power of unity in our scattered souls, and through each pirouette, life echoed. Yet deep within, uncertainty lingered. In every twirl lay a question of survival, and fate dancing paradoxically. Would we still exist in the morning light? Or would the dawn expose remnants of our agony in time's embrace? These thoughts grappled with the strength gathered in this moment. As we danced into the horizon's remnants, one undeniable truth dawned upon us. In the shadow of death, I found life. With every last ounce of grit, we rose from despair, embodying resilience through the rhythm of our hearts. That night transformed our reality forever. our stories intertwined with one another, carving a path through the sorrow, forging friendships against the darkness. Ultimately, we found the healing air through shared strength. I understood in our unity lay survival. And thus, I took my final bow before this midnight journey, knowing it was not merely a dance but a fierce declaration of life renewed. If this tale haunted you like it haunted me, don't let it wander away into the night. Subscribe to Medieval Stories and partake in the next chapter of our extraordinary journey through the shadows of history. Let's discover the truth that lies entwined in each heartbeat, and remember that every whirl of life brings untold mysteries waiting to awaken. As dawn broke over the horizon, the golden light poured into our weary souls, illuminating the remnants of a night that would forever change us. We stood together, palm to palm, heartbeat to heartbeat. The wild abandon of last night's dance transformed us, imparting resilience, camaraderie, and an unbreakable spirit. Each face reflected echoes of triumph, a palpable strength that rose like mist over a battlefield. But as I gazed into their eyes, unveiled the scars, I also confronted our vulnerability. What lies ahead? I pondered. It was a question that flitted like a moth around the flickering flame of hope. Despite our victory against despair, life remained a precarious ballet set against the looming clouds of death. The dance could revive us, yet the threat never fully dissipated. Is this the end or merely the beginning? One voice trembled amongst the assembly, a whisper of doubt seeping through the folds of newfound strength. As I turned to face them, our shared experience glistened in the morning dew, amplifying the weight of our journey. Each warrior could not hide the tremors of last night's frenzy. Behind every smile lay the shadow of fear. Yet I chose to speak with the conviction forged through chaos. We cannot forget. The insistence carried the weight of our pain. Each of us had danced on the precipice of oblivion, teetering between life and death. I recalled the faces of those we lost, the relatives torn away into oblivion. Anguish rooted itself deeper, but we had emerged victorious. But why remain chained by fear? I implored, as the sun blazed overhead, soaking the earth with warmth. Though the fierce dance we shared never fully left us, it ceased to bind our hearts. Together, we carried into the world a testament of the unintended battalion anthem of survival. A gasp hung in the air as my words began to take root. Together we faced our worst. The echoes of our newfound resolve stirred disbelief in some, but blossomed a surge of inspiration in many. Each jump and twirl, an act of rebellion against despair. The voices began to swell, one by one. Our feet may ache, another murmured, heart on fire, but our spirit remains unbroken. An electric consciousness spread throughout the crowd, a flame flickering to life. With renewed vigor, they echoed my sentiments. Words morphed into manifestations of a dance yet to be completed. Let us create. They began to move, a collective awakening to the rhythm of life echoing in the world around them. To dance is to break the chains. New movements emerged from them, an evolution born from desperation and rebirth. We began anew, our dance no longer defined by chaos, but by a desire to celebrate existence, to uplift our spirits against the burdens of sorrow. The world spun beneath our feet, but there, amid uncertainty, we grounded ourselves in unity. Yet as we carried forth, Shadows lurked on the periphery, whispers of doubt swelled like silent storms. What would come next? I questioned. A flicker of uncertainty contrasted against our jubilant triumph. With each passing day, my conscience bore witness to the balance. Triumphs are often accompanied by the haunting reminders of mortality. Would the darkness return? Days turned into weeks, and our village began to shift. The vibrant memory of our dance remained alive in our spirits, fueling determination among the people. However, whispers of plague returned like the northern wind, bringing with it remnants of fear. The specter of death lingered like a thick fog on the horizon, thickening our resolve while gnawing at our senses. We devised plans, created support networks, held workshops on wellness, and introduced playful dances to lift spirits. The infectious laughter echoed, temporary reprieve against encroaching darkness. But the underlying tension persisted, a gnawing question evolving into a living organism. Were we truly safe? Amongst our gatherings, I witnessed both resilience and restlessness. Despite the festivity, purposeful dance once again took hold, a reminder of the lessons learned from our horrifying night. Eyes that once shone with warmth now reflected anxious glances. I saw the same fear of our past creeping back into the collective memory. Would we succumb once more? It was there that I recognized something greater at play. Even amidst our most jubilant efforts, our past wouldn't simply fade away. These thoughts began weighing heavily on my heart. Could our joyful acts truly shield us from the silent darkness inching ever closer? Was this fear merely waiting for the right moment to strike again, ready to beckon more into a chaotic dance of death? The answers eluded me in reflective silence, hazy with doubt. As I stood before my community, I chose to speak once more, though gentler, more critical. We must remember, the darkness exists, yet it does not have to govern us. My voice broke, tinged with vulnerability. Even with certainty, unease persisted, prickling against my skin. How do we maintain our strength when faced with the haunting memories? At that moment, I recognized my own trembling heart. The laughter around us served as a facade at times, but it was essential. Grief and joy were entangled. Our people stood fortified, albeit unsteady, urging each other to breathe through the uncertainty. Amid this realization, I see clearer. Each hand of friendship, every step taken in concert with one another, built invisible fortifications. We were no longer simply fighting against despair. We embodied hope. Yes, we shifted to dance with our sorrow, empowering each other as we created a circle of strength. Though the shadows may loom, our resilience remained soothed by the knowledge that we danced not alone. And in that dance, I saw not just a community but a family, each beat of support resonating within my heart. Together, we raised our heads, turned towards the light, and held on to hope as if our lives depended on it. With that unity set firmly in our spirits, I knew the stories we held could save more than just our village. They could inspire if told, if shared. I envisioned spreading our tale beyond our twilight borders. Let us not fear the shadows, for it is through sharing our stories, through collaborative remembrance, that we shall emerge free together. The voices rose in unison. We would create a lifeline to those who needed it most. These fears would only dissolve through light, not dark corridors of silence filled with shame, but through shared laughter, the joyful dance, and cherished bonds. And as optimism surged, I made a decision that, in my gut, felt right. Let our tale soar. Together, we will document our experiences through word and song, art and dance, intertwined in our memories. I affirmed, feeling the heart's bond around unity. And so, as the sun dipped low, casting golden rays upon our collective spirit, we began rehearsing a new dance, a wave of resilience. It was an act of defiance alongside the shadows. With each vibrant step, our stories intertwined, creating ripples through the lives they would touch. A testament of hope flickered in the hearts of those we loved. The future held endless possibilities. If this tale touched your heart, lingered in your mind, and opened your spirit to the potential of resilience, do not let it vanish into the night. Join the community of medieval stories. Subscribe and share our ever-evolving journey together, as through our stories we can awaken the magic that lies woven within each heartbeat. We will continue to uncover our past, treasure the lessons learned, and dance towards a brighter future. As we danced into the dusk, the air thick with our shared resolution, something extraordinary began to emerge. Little by little, our village transformed from a mere collection of scared souls into a vibrant tapestry of interconnected lives, each thread vibrant with its own history and melody. The echoes of our laughter intertwined, creating a symphony that resonated far beyond the fields where we practiced our steps. With each shared story, we unearthed not just fears, but a reservoir of triumph. Some spoke of losses, of loved ones torn away by the plague, while others shared their struggles against the despair that weighed heavy upon their hearts. Still, even through tears, a remarkable resilience glinted from every tale, a reminder that we had survived. And it was these very narratives that ignited the fires of solidarity within our community. "Let's hold storytelling evenings," one villager proposed, bright-eyed with enthusiasm. The idea quickly caught on, and we began gathering weekly in the town square as twilight painted the sky with hues of amber and lavender. Children would huddle at our feet, eyes round with anticipation, as families sprawled on blankets, bathed in the glow of flickering lanterns. Each story told was an unearthing of buried pain, and healing a gentle dance with our memories. Can you remember that night? A soft voice rose from the crowd, sending a ripple of recognition. When we all spun and twirled, refusing to let fear claim any more of us. Laughter erupted, vibrant and infectious, as people reminisced about the absurdity of it, all the way some had twirled into mud. The gasps of surprise, that mixed with joyous shouts. "I still remember the old man trying to keep up," another chimed in, and with each comment, the apprehension of our past began to disintegrate beneath the weight of collective joy. For every tale of despair came a tale of laughter, each a testament to our unyielding spirit. "Wouldn't it be wonderful to dance under the stars again?" one enamored child exclaimed, her eyes filled with the sparkle of dreams. Inspiration ebbed and flowed around us like a gentle tide, and soon enough, a festival was born in the comments of our gatherings, a celebration not simply of survival but of life itself. What would we celebrate? Every grain of growth, every obstacle overcome, and the beautiful rhythm of our shared humanity. As daylight faded into night, the breeze carried whispers of hope. When it was announced that the first festival, the Dance of the Defiant, would take place under the full moon, excitement erupted. Each villager committed to weaving their unique stories into what promised to be an extraordinary tapestry. Preparation became a community endeavor. Murmurs of old songs arose, and laughter enveloped the town. Children practiced their steps alongside elders, voices blending into a harmonious cacophony of sound and movement. We gathered to unite art, song, and dance to shine bright against the lingering shadows nearby. Yet, amidst this newfound exuberance, I found myself wrestling with the weight of my responsibilities. As the festival approached, sincerity pressed against my heart. Could we truly celebrate while the threat loomed in the shadows? Was there enough light to fend off potential darkness? Could joy endure? I pondered, wrestling against a gnawing pain that held my thoughts captive. But I could not share this doubt with them. Their enthusiasm ignited in me a spark that contradicted my fierce fire that held a rather uncomfortable promise. The desire to protect my community warred with the potential light we were building. As the day approached, my worries transformed into resolve. We would prepare not just for a celebration, but as defenders of hope. Setting aside my hesitations, I chose to focus on our unity. The festival became a living symbol, a rallying cry against despair. As the moon waxed towards fullness, anticipation electrified the air. When the night finally arrived, lanterns lit pathways like stars fallen to earth, guiding villagers to the heart of the celebration. Waves of color washed over the grounds, vibrant pennants fluttering as we assembled together under the embracing canopy of stars. When the first notes floated into the night air, the joy bubbled up, filling the spaces between us. The heartbeats synchronized, and before I knew it, we were transported back into the depths of our emotions. Skillful steps melded with laughter and energy, a whirlpool of life that transcended what had been. As the firelight flickered, illuminating faces alight with exhilaration, I felt the swirling doubt within me dissipate, like night yielding to dawn. We were not simply putting on a performance. We were embodying triumph in visceral forms, creating something undeniably magical. Each individual was a vital thread in this tapestry of joy, woven intricately together. Yet, amidst this understanding flared the flickers of darker fears. Did the plague linger? Were they truly safe? Would we succumb to the dance of death once more? Shadows crept into the corners of my mind, and I felt the weight of vulnerability, my duty to protect them, clashing with the haunting memories of our past struggles. Even so, as I succumbed back into the rhythm twisting, turning, and offering every ounce of my being, I allowed myself to breathe into the moment. Festival magic captured us all, and I reveled in the joyous abandon. Laughter erupted from each corner of the festival space. Our resilience became an experience that melted into essential unity. Throughout the night, murmurs of fragile hope drifted into the air like sparks from the fire, connecting all who gathered as the dance continued in fervor. We circled and turned, laughing, embracing the sweet freedom of a shared journey. And just as we thought the night couldn't get any brighter, the unexpected occurred. A small child, barely 5, began to lead a new, unique rhythm. With abandon, he twirled and spun, evoking a sense of wonder within each of us. His innocent laughter pierced through the echoes of fear. Some villagers joined, clapping their hands while others laughed together. As the child danced, I remembered moments of pure joy amidst struggle. In that circle of bright-eyed delight, I knew we had ignited something more significant than fear and affirmation of life, love, and everything that remains unbreakable. The darkness may always linger on the outskirts of our existence, but the brightness forged within this dance would chase those shadows away. The night drew to a close, yet that light would carry on. Our bouquet of stories, moments, woven together, would become a legacy imprinted upon our hearts. As the final notes of music faded, the palpable energy around us swelled, grounding everything we had full circle. And in that moment I realized it is in times of shared struggle and collective dance where true healing occurs. Our journey continued. It was never just about surviving, but embracing life with fierce grace. We became the storytellers, the dancers entwined together against darkness, a choir of voices singing in unity. If this tale resonates with your spirit, if you see reflections of yourself within our struggles, do not let our dance go silent. Join us, subscribe to Medieval Stories, and together let's weave more living tapestries, uncovering tales from the depths of history that whisper courage, resilience, and the human spirit within our dances of fate. We will venture into every shadow, unearthing treasures of light woven through our stories. Let us journey on together. As the festival drew to a close and the last flickering lanterns dimmed, the village settled back into its familiar routine, but the memories of that night continued to cast a warm glow over our hearts. The laughter, the dances, and the stories we shared became threads interwoven into the very fabric of our lives, reminding us of our strength in unity and the power of hope. Yet, even as the days unfolded in a harmonious rhythm, the specter of uncertainty loomed ever closer. Whispers of ailment began to drift through our village once more, like the wind carrying the faint, unsettling chill of an approaching storm. The color that once painted our days began to fade, replaced by hushed conversations and wary glances. I could feel the palpable tension creeping among USA's shared past, resurfacing in the town square like dark clouds gathering before a tempest. The fear of plague returned, echoing through the hearts of those who had dared to dance through the night. Uncertainty hung heavy in the air, and I sensed it weighing on my community like a cloak unwanted but inescapable. Conversations turned somber as we convened in the square. "Have you seen the elder?" one villager asked, a tremor of anxiety creeping into her voice. Whispers of illness intermingled with muted gasps, recalling names of loved ones now ensnared by the whispers of sickness, the village's own scars from previous battles renewed. What will we do if it spreads? This was the question on everyone's lips, and I could sense the unease bubbling within the crowd, a cauldron of anxiety brewing ominously. I realized that perhaps the most dangerous plague we faced was fear itself, ready to send a ripple through our newfound unity, threatening to fracture our bonds. Amid the growing distress, I felt the urge to act, a primal instinct to protect those anchored within my heart. We survived the dance of despair, I reminded my neighbors, my voice rising above the din of worry. But we should not forget, it is our unity that will keep us standing. We must hold each other close. Divided in spirits, yet longing for strength, our villagers began to gather again, arms around shoulders, siblings clasping hands. I let my heartbeat echo in their eyes, flickering with doubt, reminding them of our resolve. Let's unite against this shadow. We cannot allow fear to claim us. But at that moment, it became clear that mere words wouldn't suffice. Actions must echo our commitments and fortify our bonds. We decided to create a support network from which everyone who felt isolated could draw strength. We organized rows, caretakers, storytellers, and watchers, ensuring every family felt a home, a beacon amidst adversity. As the weeks passed, we began visiting one another, tending to the sick and uplifted spirits. Every child who fell asleep, tucked against an elder, recalled a story of enduranceia, sweet memory of laughter, making weighty fears feel momentarily lighter. We taught each other how to combat despair through kindness, rekindling our lovely festival spirit even in the darkest corners. With each soup ladled into bowls, every warm embrace shared, we erected walls that stood not merely against disease, but against the chilling isolation that once threatened to splinter us apart. The touch of our hands ignited flames of love, counteracting the doubts fluttering among us. Yet the reality remained a silent, creeping malaise wrapped itself around our hearts with alarming familiarity. I roamed through the village each day with an ever-watchful eye, scanning the horizon for signs of trouble for those who began to falter under the weight of their worries. One evening, the anxiety peaked when a beloved elder, once strong and spirited, fell mysteriously ill. The news spread like wildfire, the collective gasp reverberating through the streets. "It cannot be," I heard the whispers, disbelief mingling with fear. Gathered in the village square, we faced an uncertain reckoning, still attempting to buoy spirits amidst the murky waters of dread. I could sense that fear wrapping itself around my own resolve, threatening to knot the seams we'd painstakingly sewn together. But in witnessing the anxiety cast among us, I felt a flicker of resolve spark within my chest. "Remember," I implored, raising my voice as tension thickened the air. "Hope has carved a home in our hearts. This darkness cannot overshadow the light we built together." The elders began to join our circle, exchanging solemn glances that were once filled with comedy, now tinged with worry. "When we united in dance, we defied the plague," one offered, her voice steady like the gentle touch of a breeze. "A dance not just of our feet, but of our spirits. Together we can battle any foe that arises, including despair." "Together," another echoed, "we can be more than what haunts us." Realization settled like warmth through each soul present, each spark igniting further embers of hope. Our paths were intertwined, marching through fear. As we forged ahead, we began to breathe life into our festival of unity again this time, leaning on the fabric of hope woven through our stories. Gradually, we organized collective events, nights filled with laughter and music rekindled. They echoed our trusted sentiments: unity, hope, resilience against adversity. We mustered strength, defiance, and purpose in facing whatever lay ahead. We took up old rituals, gatherings of song, ornamenting spaces with colorful tapestries that flourished joy, transitioning our sorrow into expressions of art. Each brushstroke, every musical note became a reminder, a clarion call, summoning us to face our fears head-on, igniting the spirits of each villager, warm against the encroaching chill of worry. In this, we found the thread connecting all of us, the promise of laughter and hope woven a Niwa lifeline through which our individual narratives would interlace, creating a vibrant fabric of resilience. Even in the distressing times, I recognized that love leaves an indelible mark across our shared stories, illuminating even the darkest corners. And in that knowledge, I felt grateful. Thanks to our perseverance, I witnessed friends confront fears that once ruled them. Until then, I felt only shadows creeping, but alongside those I cherished, I began to see the light, again that enduring brilliance that had carried us through storms before. But would we persevere once more? As more days flowed, rumors increased. News of illness reached our village from the neighboring town. The heartbeats around me quickened, Whispers of despair began to unravel like delicate lace, and with it came doubt's chilling fingers. Would history repeat itself? Yet, I reflected deep within, ready to stand with my community once more. I could feel the warmth of laughter flickering from distant fires. Remembering our dance sparked a sense of purpose. I thought of the collective song that now wove through our hearts. As we found our footing, I stood once again before the villagers. "Let us gather at the square," I called out, readying myself to face the inevitable fears. In the heart of nightfall we gathered as the moon cast its luminescence over us, a beacon against the encroaching dark. I could feel a tremor of optimism ripple through the crowd, anchoring me amidst the tide of uncertainty. "I urge you," I spoke resolute, "let us once more celebrate our strength and hold on to our dreams. Let us craft songs that echo through the ages, weaving memories of triumph amidst grief, so we can gather strength in unity." The murmurs surged, igniting sparks of renewed defiance within those gathered. With heightened anticipation and firm determination, we would forge ahead, continuing the stories of resilience and strength against every dark corner. Let this tale continue to weave alongside us, and as our voices rang in unison under the moonlit sky, knew that challenges might rise, yet we would always dance valiantly together. For amidst our struggles, we would not only learn from our past, but create new paths, interlaced with light and unity. If this tale resonates with your heart, if it transforms your perception and calls you to take part, embrace our journey further. Subscribe to Medieval Stories and remain with us as we traverse the meandering pathways of history. Let us uncover the vibrant patterns that lay woven within every heartbeat and every story, crafting a legacy of hope in which we can all believe. Join us and let the dance of our lives continue.